So yeah, I'm gonna stop doing that now because it's just creepy. But that's Scorpio, and that's kind of been Saturn and Scorpio for the last 2.5 years. So yes, Saturn and Scorpio. In case you have not read the title and seen my little weird intro there, that's what this video is going to be about. Just so you guys know, this is my third attempt, uno dos tres attempt at making this video now. Saturn, there's a lot of delays, there's a lot of restrictions, there's a lot of holdups, and even in the case of making a video about a Saturn related topic, it applies. It takes time. We have to be patient where Saturn is concerned. We just have to. Who likes patience though? I know I don't. Well, sort of, kind of, not really. But Scorpio is actually all about patience, surprisingly. So Saturn and Scorpio, we did learn a lot about patience. We learned to kind of take our time, and it'll be a little bit not so instant gratification about things, where Saturn never really is. But Scorpio really plots out and takes its time with things. So that was something that I think we all did get a little bit out of. But not to stray too far here, if you're watching this video, if you have like Saturn and Scorpio in your birth chart and your natal chart, this could apply for you too, but this is really more about the transit that we all went through together the last 2.5 years. Saturn's been in Scorpio since October of 2012, and it's going to be till December 23rd of this month. First, let's look at what Saturn, the planet, represents before we can really talk about this, just in case you don't know. Yes, that means we do have to talk about the planet that nobody wants to talk about. What people do. People run away when you hear about Saturn. Saturn has become my favorite planet in astrology. I've learned to make friends with Saturn. I say that right now, but then tomorrow I'll go back to hating that bitch again and be like, oh god, I want nothing to do with you anymore. I'm sick of your lessons and hard life. Let's just have Mars, instant gratification, But in all reality, Saturn is that. It's hard. It's cold. I like to kind of call Saturn, it's the reality. It's the wake-up call. It is the wet blanket. There is nothing comfortable about Saturn. Whereas the moon wants comfort and, security, Saturn doesn't really care about that. Saturn doesn't care about emotions. It doesn't care about, it's very cold. It's very structured. It has a lot to do with structure. It wants to structure our lives and organize everything and make sure that we have our lives together, even though we never really have it together. It's a lifelong process, as we learn with this planet. Has a lot to do with delays and dilemmas and restrictions and limitation and struggles and challenges and these hurdles we have to go over. I kind of think of a speed bump when I think of Saturn. Whenever we're trying to go really fast in our car in this area and there's these really, really annoying speed bumps, like 5 in a row, that just keep tripping you up, and you'll speed until you get to the next one, and bam, you gotta stop again. Yeah, that's Saturn. Saturn, the speed bump of life. That would be like the perfect Saturn documentary. But it's true, it's like a speed bump. But what happens is it gives us all of these crazy things that we hate, and then we come out on the other side of it, and because we go through the crap so much, we start to get really good at it, and we master it. So on the other side, we get mastership. We get awarded for everything. We reach accomplishment. We accomplish what it is we're setting out to do, and that's what Saturn wants for you. It gives you all these hard challenges so that eventually you just get really good at it, and you master it. That's what it is all about, mastership. And yeah, it's wild. It's crazy. But it never feels that way in the moment. It's not usually until you've had your silver lining and it suddenly all makes sense. Saturn works well in Scorpio because Saturn is, I wouldn't call it a deep planet. It's not necessarily complex like Scorp can be, but it's very black and white. It's very, you get what you see. It is what it is. There's not a whole lot of bullshit. Scorpio is a no bullshit sign, and Scorpio wants to get down and deep and serious and penetrate whatever it is, get to the bottom of everything. So in Saturn, this planet says you need to get your shit done. That's what happened these last 2.5 years. Whereas I kind of like to look at the last Saturn transit to kind of see what we were dealing with before collectively. So we had Saturn in Libra from like 2009 to late 2012, 2.5, 3 years. You know, there's no easier or harder placement for Saturn, I feel like. No matter what house it's transiting or what sign it's in, whatever, Saturn's just always going to be hard. There's no easy way out with Saturn. But Saturn in Libra was a bit more fluffy. We were kind of dealing with relationship issues and whatnot, but more of the fluffy side of it, you know. In Scorpio, though, um, it went a lot deeper than that. A lot deeper than that. And you all know what I mean when I say this. I don't have to blurt it out. We all went through a lot of loss, a lot of death, a lot of maybe friends or relationships, family members, whatever the relation was between you and these people, just completely ending for what seemed like out of the blue at first, kind of like these feelings of resentment and bitterness that this person's done this and this hasn't been resolved, like issues you may have had with this person that were going on for a long time before this transit, but you just kind of kept ignoring, not really paying attention to. But then Saturn came in Scorpio, and over these last few years you couldn't ignore it anymore. And you couldn't ignore it anymore because Scorpio gets to the bottom, and it's our psyche. Even though it's a water sign, it really got into the deep, watery parts of our mind, the areas that we don't really like to go to very often. And Saturn through Scorpio made us do that. And that meant that the superficial relationships, the shallow bullshit that just wasn't working anymore, got cut. Simple as that. And for a lot of people, that was really hard because letting go of people you care about is not easy. It's hard. And people on the other side of it, because you know, when Scorpio cuts you out, you're cut out. So this energy, there was a lot of nasty, volatile fights with people. I've noticed, you know, people on the other end of it, when they were getting cut out, the ones kind of on the receiving end were kind of like, oh, how could you do this to me? People that have been manipulating you for a long time. Manipulators, I feel like, really got their karma in this transit. People that have really lived their lives bullshitting, manipulating people, just being really crappy versions of themselves, really got hard hit with karma and got kicked to the curb. And then people that had to really cut people out of their lives really had to face a lot of guilt within themselves for having to say goodbye to certain relationships, you know, because it could have been people you were really close with that it was really hard to cut those ties. But by doing so, you're now allowing more room in your life for better, more fulfilling relationships to come along, and now having a better relationship with yourself. And that's the important part. So yeah, I just totally went all Dr. Phil on you guys. Deal with it. Deep traumas from the past. Yes, those scary things that hide out in our closets and in the deepest, most sacred, buried places in ourselves. Traumas we've been through in the past. And these traumas can be the really big ones, like childhood abuse and rape and sexual abuse, or just a relationship a breakup we had a long time ago that we never resolved, or just these feelings of inadequacy in ourselves and deep-rooted insecurities, and just the way our minds work, certain addictions and psychological things we have going on, little OCD things, you know, just things like that, and just anything and everything. There's not any one set group, just any kind of pain that we've had that we haven't really dealt with, because Scorpio, I feel like more than any other sign, knows a lot about pain. Scorpio has suffered a lot, and through this transit we really all suffered together. And in a way, for people that never really dealt with their trauma in the first place, they kind of had to relive it and see where they had neglected their wounds this go around. In order to get to the end phase of really letting go, you have to live it. And after we go through it, we have a habit of just kind of brushing it away and not dealing with it. And we couldn't do that anymore. Not this time. Saturn said, no, you are going to live it. And if you don't, you're never going to be a very whole version of yourself. And I myself can attest, I resisted and ran around in circles like a chicken with my head cut off half the time through this transit. But Now getting at the end of it, we're going to be hitting the 29th degree here soon, and whenever you hit a sign at 29 degrees, that's when you really get to the mastership part of that sign, when you're really getting to the tail end of it before entering into the 0 degree of the next sign, which is the fresh emerging energy. And you come out on the other side with a whole new perspective. I feel like Saturn through this transit said, hold out your hand. Here is a shovel. I'm going to give you the shovel, and what you do with it is up to you. You can either dive deep, go to those places, do what it is you need to do here, or you can dig yourself a shallow hole and just bury your head in it and be a coward, basically. And something tells me, like me, we all probably went back and forth between the two a little bit. You dig a little bit, then you get scared, and you go back to your comfort zone and your safety nest. And that's just what we do. And but Saturn was relentless and did not let up. And between it kind of retrograding back and forth, for some people it probably hit certain degrees and angles in their chart, probably 2, 3, even 3 times even. And so there was really no escaping it. And that's just a big part of how the retrogrades, how they work. Yeah, retrogrades, y'all suck. Please go away. Don't come back. That's always the worst part of a transit, is the retrogrades that going back and forth. They can be so confusing. But regardless of that, because it just comes back to what I said, Saturn wants us to master it. So each time it would retrograde and go back direct, coming to the same point again, it was like saying, okay, did you learn from this, or are you still in the same place? What did you get out of it? Whether you chose to dig deep with your shovel or to just dig a shallow little hole to bury your head in, either way, Saturn was saying, I gave you the shovel. Either way, you're digging in both scenarios. So if you're gonna dig the shallow hole, you already got the shovel in the sand and you've dug a little bit. You might as well go the full way. And Scorpio wants the full way. It's all or nothing. With a fixated energy like Scorpio, it's very black and white, and it's one or the other. And you know, I chose here at the end to go deep and to go fully there. And something tells me that a lot of you did too, because I look around, and everyone I'm meeting, people I work with, my family, my friends, even though we're all dealing with different things to various degrees, we're all being faced by the scorpion stinger. Absolutely. And it's going to vary for us all depending on what house Saturn is transiting for you. And please, in the comments, let me know what house it's been transiting for you guys and how this transit has affected you guys. I mean, it's been huge. It has been by far the most profound Saturn transit I've been through. So here we are in this next phase, and we are emerging. Something that I always love is that whenever you have a water sign, there's always a fire sign that follows it, because, you know, it goes fire, earth, air, and water, and that lineup, and then the same thing over again. And water signs are always the last of the group because they go deep into it. They go so deep. They feel everything. They are the ones that really take it all on and just so empathic, absolutely so empathic and explorative and just very feminine, very, very feminine, and so delicate and such a richness to it. So then to be followed by a fire sign next, it's like the birth, because, you know, the water is the mom, and the fire signs are kind of like the babies being born. So as we're about getting ready to enter into Saturn and Sagittarius, which is going to be this huge birthing experience for all of us. And the first go around here, you know, as we hit this point, we're going to be getting tested really on these new things outside of this watery world that we've been in for 2.5 years now. Because I kind of feel like we have all been drowning in the water, and now we're coming out into the daylight for the first time, and we're being dried off. We are out in the sun again, and letting the rays hit us. Intimacy and trust and secrets are a big one with Scorpio, and Saturn really delivered that this time. I feel like areas where we have been really hurt because we were paying attention to those things more than normal. Well, we really shut ourselves off these last couple of years. For some people, they really learn how to trust again during this transit, but a lot of people, their trust was really tested because Saturn always hits those really sensitive places in us because it wants us to grow. So areas where we have been very distrustful and paranoid and kind of really hiding out got really triggered, and we are being asked to trust again. And I feel like now towards the end of the transit, we are kind of really having to open our hearts again and see how open are we to letting other people's love in, how open are we to giving love to other people. Along with the trust is also intimacy, which really does go hand in hand with trust. You know, people probably had really intimate experiences during this transit and experienced a lot of sexual dysfunction. That's a big one, you know, like I said, it doesn't even have to be past rapes and sexual abuse, but just areas where people are really sexually insecure. A lot of people probably really abstained these last few years and kind of shied away from the topic of sex and intimacy because of issues they felt within themselves and being scared to share that with another person. And I feel like now we're emerging and people are probably starting to be like, okay, I've been so closed off this last year, let's go jump everyone I see. You know, I've been seeing that lately, and it's a little bit funny that people are getting more confident and brave in that area again, because we've been there's a lot of fear, there was a lot of scaredness, there was a lot of introversion, going within into the nestled areas these last couple of years, and it's time to kind of come out and explore again, because Saturn in Sagittarius, I feel like, is really going to want adventure. It's going to want to explore. It's going to want to go full out, as this Jupiter ruled sign just loves to do, and I'm sure Saturn is going to slam on the brakes of that enthusiasm plenty, and that's going to be interesting. Like, I don't doubt we're not going to have our struggles. Like, Saturn will always deliver with its next transit, but I feel that it will be genuinely a lot lighter than the Scorpio transit was. And thank God for that. Oh my God. So yes, to conclude, this has been a just wowzers of 2.5 years. It's been introspective. It's been deep. It has been just so much. There's really words can't describe it. Please share your experiences in the comments on what Saturn and Scorpio has been like for you. I'm sure we can all relate and see what it's been like for each other. And if you guys, I'm doing free readings right now. I am a up and coming astrologer. I've been studying it for 5 years now. I have a wide range knowledge of this stuff, and I absolutely love it. And I'm doing readings for free right now just to get more practice in and to help you guys out, so that one day I can have a more solid business for this. So just if you ever want a reading from me, just leave your information in the comments below, and with your email address preferably, so I can email it to you, obviously, duh. And yeah, we can talk more about that. But yes, this has been Saturn and Scorpio, you guys, and we are at the tail last 2 degrees of it right now. So please take this time. I know we all want it to be over, but really soak in what this has done for you. Learn the lessons, take it all in, and walk into this next transit with no leftovers. You don't want leftovers from the previous Saturn transit entering into your next one. Be able to fully focus on your next phase and invest yourself there, and not take a bunch of bullcrap from the last one. So there you guys, we made it. We survived the storm of freaking Saturn and Scorpio. We did it. So congratulations to us, and happy transiting, you guys. Peace out.